What's up, guys? Welcome back to Command Point. My name's Ryan, and today we're gonna be mixing it up a little bit. We're gonna be talking about something that is completely not related in any way, shape, or form to Kill Team. So I love Inquisitor. Um, if for nothing else, like just the aesthetic and the lore and the world building, I guess, for lack of a better term, that this game injects into the wider 40K narrative. This game came out in 2001, and I'm pretty sure it was kind of like a tie-in thing with the Eisenhorn novels, and it's super cool. I don't have enough cool things to say about it other than it's cool. Um, so the premise for Inquisitor is that it is a narrative focused skirmish game. There's no like hard and fast rules for like list building and stuff like that, or even like what models you run and like weapons and equipment and warrior that those models are equipped with. It's all narrative focused, which means that like anything goes. So, what does this have to do with anything? What this game is if you're somebody who enjoys the hobbying and the modeling side of thing, this is a game that I cannot recommend enough because like everything is open ended. You can build an Inquisitor with like I don't know the it's limitless. You can give him a power sword and you can give him a side cannon on his shoulder and you can give him a shotgun slung across his back. He can carry like three different weapons. And it's just like it and he can have psychic powers and it's just the game's just like sure, yeah, no, that's great. Do whatever. It's got like in-depth like character creation in a skirmish game, which of course really sucks if you're trying to build like a balanced like competitive war game, but it's great. It's got so much flavor, and I just love it so much. The John Blanche art in here. I'm just a fan of the art, really, is what it boils down to. There's tons of great art from Adrian Smith and John Blanche, like I mentioned earlier, and gosh, who else am I thinking of? David Gallagher, that's the other artist's name. They are heavily featured in this particular rulebook, and I was lucky enough to find a copy of this. It's obviously out of print. This is an out of print Games Workshop game. I was lucky enough to be able to find this on eBay and was able to pick it up there. The rulebook in a PDF form is free, and I will link it down in the description below for you guys to check out and peruse. Yeah, if you really like, 40K art, any of those artists that I mentioned, and you see this, definitely pick it up because you will just pore over this for hours. So what I was saying about it being so open-ended when it comes to what models, you're able to run and like have, and just like you can equip them with whatever weapons, powers, abilities, bionics, cybernetic implants, or whatever in them. It really opens the door for hobbyists and modelers who really enjoy kind of like scratch building their own stuff or kit bashing. And so in this video, I kit bashed an Inquisitor. Specifically, I tried to go and make an Inquisitor who, if not Tyrus, which is the name of this Inquisitor on the front cover here, at least is a close approximation of him. I kind of wanted to challenge myself to make a model who better reflects the art in here than the actual models they produced for this game. It's the weakest model in the range of models that they had produced, and that's a shame because it's the guy who's on the front cover. So I went ahead and kit bashed this guy, and this is basically what I did to do that. So some of the kits that I used, I had some Stormcast Eternals laying around. I also had some, Deathwatch sprues that I had. I also had some Vanguard vets, which I only wind up using one of the bits from that box, I think. So here I knew I wanted to use one of the Deathwatch chest pieces, just because those are dripping in inquisitorial trappings, I guess, and details. So the one I think I pick out here, it's got like the eye on the collar, and I really wanted one of these chest pieces that has a high collar on it that kind of goes up to like the bridge of the nose of like a Space Marine head, in order to, just to try and make it as close as possible to the artwork on the cover. It's described in the book that Tyrus has kind of like this artificer set of power armor, so I really wanted to try and make it look like I didn't want him to look like a Space Marine. I wanted him to look as far removed from a Space Marine as possible. So what I wound up doing here was using a lot of these Stormcast Eternal limbs and shoulder pads to kind of bulk him out and give him that big kind of imposing frame, as well as to differentiate him from just, your standard Space Marine armor. So here I am diving into just a bits bag, and inside the bits bag is a smaller bits bag, inside a smaller bits bag, just to track down this aggressor fist. So that's what I'm going to be using for like his power fist with the sword coming out of it. I don't even know what it's called, but it looks awesome. So I knew I had to include something like that in this model. Here is a Deathwatch upgrade sprue. There's like 3 different Inquisitorial rosettes on here, one that's like sized for vehicles, and then 2 more that are sized for like your standard Space Marine. I knew I was going to use one of these. It's kind of like the back piece that sticks up behind his head. So the Inquisitor Tyrus model, he's got a pretty detailed bolt pistol, so I knew that the Vanguard Veteran Space Marine box has one. There is one in here that like the entire bolt casing just looks like it's covered in gold leaf, so that was the one we wind up going with here. So here what I'm doing is I am dry fitting the model using some poster tack or sticky tack, however you call it. Dry fitting is a very important part of the kit bashing process. You really want to, just have an idea in your mind of what it's going to look like once you're done sanding, filing, clipping, and gluing it all together before you start attempting that process. At least that's how I find it the easiest for me. So here I think I'm trying to see how one of these Horus Heresy backpacks, like Mark III I think it is, would wind up fitting on the model. And ultimately I decided not to include it just because that whole Space Marine backpack, it looks too much like a Space Marine, and that's something that I really didn't want this Inquisitor here to look like. I wanted him to look as removed as possible from a Space Marine while still being in power armor. And that was probably the biggest struggle I had with this model. Especially when you put him on those plain old Deathwatch legs, he looks a lot like a Space Marine. So what I opted to do instead was just take that Inquisitorial rosette, I guess we'll call it, for that Inquisition symbol, and just mount it straight onto like the back panel. So what I wound up doing off camera was sawing through those Space Marine legs and basically try to match them up to some Stormcast Eternal legs, just to once again give it more of a unique feel, make it look less like a Space Marine. So this is my favorite glue to use. It is the Tamiya plastic cement, and here you see I'm using it to attach the bolt pistol to the Stormcast Eternal arm. This is probably the best glue I've ever used. You don't need to worry about a nozzle getting clogged or anything. It just has kind of like this plastic brush on it, and so real easy to control. You're less likely to damage your model with glue, and it comes in a solid square glass jar, so you don't really got to worry about spilling it anywhere either. I did have to do a lot of cutting and trimming in order to get the bolt pistol to fit as snugly as I wanted it to, and ultimately there's still a gap left in there. So what I decided to do was go ahead and for the first time ever use some green stuff. I wound up just sticking a little tiny piece of green stuff in the gap, and what I'm using is one of these silicone sculpting tools, which I'll leave a link to down in the description. Silicone sculpting tools are great It feels just like a paintbrush in the hand, and the solid silicone tip, it is not going to stick to the green stuff as it is setting while you are working it. And after a few minutes of just trying to get like a flat texture, a flat seamless transition from the plastic to the green stuff, we got there. Continuing on with the green stuff, all of those Deathwatch chest pieces, they have gaps that you are supposed to glue straps into that carry like bolt shells and magazine pouches and stuff like that. So I didn't want to stick those on there because, once again, we're trying to differentiate it from a Space Marine or a Deathwatch Space Marine veteran as much as possible. So I decided just to fill those gaps with green stuff using the same technique as before. You'll notice there's some wet spots on the cutting mat I have in front of me. That's because I'm keeping the green stuff submerged in water in the red solo cup you see on the top right hand corner of your screen there. And that's just to keep it wet and keep it from curing on me while I'm working. So here we are gluing the Stormcast Eternal legs to the Deathwatch thighs, really. This was probably the most difficult part of this project just because it took forever to saw through those Stormcast Eternal legs and the Deathwatch legs. I tried to find a Stormcast Eternal set of legs that has as close to the same pose as the Deathwatch legs, just to try to make that easier for me. I didn't want to really do any sort of like serious reposing because, once again, this is my first time using green stuff. So these Stormcast Eternal like shoulder joints did not match up exactly with the Deathwatch chest piece as much as I wanted them to. So I wound up filing them down a little bit, just trying to get them to just enough to get some contact points, honestly, with the chest piece so I could apply some glue. And then what I'm going to do later on is go back in and apply some green stuff in and around the join there to kind of reinforce it. We wind up doing the same thing on the other side, and this is also going to require a bit of green stuffing as well. Alright, so here we're dry fitting once again a little bit just to kind of get the posing with the blade right. I think I cut that blade a little long off one of the Stormcast swords, but I think it still looks pretty good. Hindsight being 2020, I definitely would have gone back and cut it shorter just to kind of match it more so with the art. He's coming together. He looks a little bit wonky now, but that's just because we got a little bit too much poster tack inside the bottom of his chest piece there. It kind of makes him look a little bit too tall, but it'll look better. Just a rough idea of what he's going to wind up looking like. So here we're taking out some of the bits that I had set aside for this guy. One of those defining features that you see on his armor is kind of the tilting shield over his left pauldron. So that's something I knew I wanted to include that I wound up finding in an intercessor's kit. And I knew I also wanted, he's got like this big like cross necklace on a chain going across him. So I wound up finding a shoulder pad from an intercessor kit that looks pretty much exactly like it. So I figured I'd take that, and then I'm going to wind up green stuffing the actual chain, or the strap, I guess, for the necklace later on. So here's that piece we're going to wind up using for the necklace. Very gently, this kind of trimming away at it. I wanted to keep some of the chain that it's hanging off of above it, just so that it looks more natural on the necklace. So here we are applying the tilting shield to that left pauldron. Super good looking. I love tilting shields and the way they look on armor. Yeah, so with those shoulder pads applied and everything, he looks really bulked out. So here we are again with the green stuff. This is from Gale Force 9. I don't know if they still make this kind of packaging anymore, where it's just two giant tubes of green and blue, or yellow and blue, I guess I should say, that you wind up mixing together. But yeah, this is probably going to last me a long time. So if you can find it, I recommend you get that. Once again, just rolling it around in some water just to kind of keep it moist, I guess, keep it from curing on me. So I had set that green stuff to the side for now, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue the amulet part of the necklace to the chest piece in the position that I want it, and then I'm going to apply the green stuff after that. Alright, so we got that on there, so now we're going to go ahead and trim this green stuff a little bit thinner, or a little bit less, because we don't really need that much for the area that we're covering. Next up, sticking with the same piece of green stuff, I think, we're creating the power cables for the power fist. So I'm just kind of just pushing it into place with my finger, really. Taking two small sausages of green stuff, I guess, stretching them out, sticking them together, keeping them parallel, and then just trimming the excess off, and then sticking it once again up and under the armor and against the side of that back piece right there, where normally you would be attaching the Space Marine backpack. Maybe this ancient mastercrafted power armor, maybe that's where the power source is. It doesn't even need the whole power pack. So I'm a firm believer in that, you know, the base of a model tells the story. So what I wanted to do was use one of these GW Sector Mechanicus bases to kind of give him the feel of he's stalking his prey, whether it's a real heretic or an imagined heretic, through some like Underhive or something, some kind of, or something else. I didn't just want to do another plain base, where I've been doing a lot of plain bases, outdoor bases. I've never done any sort of like interior base, so I wanted to experiment with these, and this kind of helps just like set the scene for, you know, the piece of art that we're going off of, where he's stalking through this dark corridor. Once again, dry fitting with the poster tack, trying to just get the posing right. Off camera, I wound up green stuffing the around the glue joins, or where I had glued the leg bits together, to kind of both bulk it out and to kind of have more of a seamless transition. There was a lot of damaged pieces around there that I couldn't otherwise hide, aside from using green stuff, so I wound up using those. So I wound up green stuffing around the legs using the same techniques as you've seen throughout this video. So yeah, he's looking pretty good. So here I am with a pair of tweezers. I'm just kind of trying as hard as I can to apply some of those other bits that we had cut off the sprue earlier, the keys and like those Space Marine reliquaries. I wanted to give it some kind of like motion, so what I did was I glued them kind of going down at the same angle. And yeah, this is him kind of from a 360-degree view. And I am super stoked with how he came out. And with that, this Kitbashed Inquisitor is complete. He's not an exact match of Inquisitor Tyrus, but I think he captures his same vibe, and I think he's a lot better looking than that 54mm model that they had originally come out for him when Inquisitor had launched. But now I want to challenge you guys. I want to see what you guys are able to come up with in Kitbash for whether it be Kill Team, 40k, Inquisition, whatever. I love this kind of stuff. So go ahead and, you know, upload a picture to Instagram or something, or in our Discord, link to that in the description below. Specifically, I also want to issue a challenge to Battle Brothers Tabletop. I know that your kit bashing skills are really, really good. I've seen those Vostroyans in person. I love them, and I really want to see what you would be able to come up with for a model for Inquisition or Inquisitor. I'll put a link to that video on the Vostroyans in the description down below for you guys to check out as well. But yeah, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this type of content. This is some like new hobby content that I want to bring to the channel. You know, I don't just want to be the channel that's just a slideshow of disembodied voices talking. I know this isn't anything regarding strategy or tactics or anything, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. So let me know what you guys think ultimately in the comments below if you would want to see some more content like this. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all again in the next one.